being awake, being awake, being awake is life, and being asleep is death. Well, sleep is quite synonymous to death, a kind of a death, isn't it? So being awake is heaven, and being asleep is being in hell. Being awake is punya, and being at sleep is pap, the only sin. Well, being awake, now you take it as per your understanding. It could be self-awareness, a spiritual awakening, mindfulness, witness, sakshi bhav. Am I aware that? Am I aware? Whatever you want to take it. And don't try to create a sort of permanence that you need to be 24/7 awake. No, that's not possible. In fact, this very craving is basically being asleep. And when I'm talking about being asleep, the sleep is an indication towards our egoic drive is more than your physical sleep, which we need very much, 8 to 9 hours. That's very much being restfulness. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the 93rd book in our book reading series. And pick up a wonderful book from Michael Brown, that is basically the presence process. And towards the end, you will see an audio CD by Eckhart Tolle. I think everyone knows, those who are into spiritual quest, Eckhart Tolle, who is the power of now. Yeah. So this is the book. My wife goes through. This is her copy, and she is into Vipassana meditation for years. I do too, because when it comes to the presence process, understanding, or self-experience, everybody has their own approach. For example, Vipassana meditation, those who do, they know the sensations, the vibrations, the emotions, the thoughts, breath, how they are directly proportional to breath, where we can break this chain and get rooted into beingness of the presence moment. What John Kabat-Zinn talks about, mindfulness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, first let me tell you what this book is all about. And the contents of the books are basically attuning to the process. This is part one. This is very, very important. Maybe we'll pick up one or two paragraphs from this, the concept what the author is trying to put across. The heartbeat of reinforcement, aligning intent, mechanics of the process. We will talk about the mechanics of the process. Part 3 is very, very interesting. It's basically because it gives a sort of manual for a seeker, for the person who definitely would like to get into having this knack of being in the present moment. Yeah, author has given 10 weeks program, very conscious program, what one can learn, what one can practice. I don't know whether practice is the right word, but definitely trying to spearhead, what this is about, and try to unfold, and maybe you can dissolve. Okay, let me give an example which comes to your mind. Suppose you are trying to click a photograph from your smartphone, your camera. And then whatever the object you like to click, that becomes the focus, and the background at distance, it becomes definitely blurred, isn't it? You can blur it so that you can focus. You don't want to capture everything. So is in this context, when it comes to the present moment, awareness, that you need to be aware that you are aware. You need to be aware that you are aware. You're not looking with eyes, but through the eyes being window, right? It's not. It's a challenge basically put in the words, but I think most of you or some of you would have got what I'm trying to indicate at it. So this is, then it's all up to you. If you are awake, you are aware that you are awake, then if needed to gather some information from certain, that's fine, with absolute clarity, without any egoic film, without any emotional, film, the density of thoughts. You can see things as they are, which is in itself is a divine gift which we need to inculcate. So the mechanics of the process, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mechanics of the process when it comes to the presence process, you need to choose, are you being a reactive out of, emotional vengeance, or maybe your vindictive approach or your behavior, which becomes many times like an OCD. People know and talk about OCDs, the physiological OCDs. But I would like to draw your kind attention when it comes to your emotional OCDs. You keep on doing something out of your emotional upbringing, your own reactive behaviors, and that becomes so deep that definitely it affects your body. and your mind, definitely, yeah. So please try to figure out your OCDs, emotional OCDs. What are your heart buttons? Why you get scared of something, you know, why you get so angry of something, you know. Maybe you can try to recall, revisit the childhood traumas, yeah. Or maybe the failures in the past, or maybe the good or best practices in the past many times become barrier. Many times good becomes a barrier in the being great. So all the mechanics that make up the structure of this process are intended to be not doings. For example, we are already breathing. This process now empowers us to breathe consciously. You know, nothing is added to what's already unfolding other than responsive awareness. Second, we are all already mentally active. This process empowers us to constantly embrace thought process that serve us. So we need to observe this thought. Are this thought arising of some ego? Are this thought arising of some vengeance? Tit for tat kind of an approach or something, or emotional hurt? Then we already feeling the same thing. You know, I was talking about thoughts and the feelings. This is a wonderful book, if you ask me. It's all about, you know, bringing that kind of, you know, mutation in the brain, because optics of the situation, as you know, a spiritual traveler, seems like that, you know, many times we get, you know, diminished, and we get demoralized and we get demotivated. But then we need to observe as the things they are, because when you can observe, you can absorb, right? So you need to accept, you need to adapt, yeah, and you need to accomplish, and you do rise like a phoenix, Now, if you ask me as a layman, you know, what's the benefit of being aware, you know, this presence process, then I would say maybe at, you know, these three levels I was talking about, you know, the physical, the mental, and the emotional. You know, you should be aware that, you know, where you know you are getting, where you are getting, you know, where you are going, what kind of habits you are forming. Maybe these habits can become great barriers when it comes to your own personal or professional achievement of your goal or purpose of life. You know, for example, the body movements. Some people have this gestures, you know, being like this. You know, maybe in an interview, if you're sitting like this, and universal body language standard says that this is like a blocked body position, you know, which people may misunderstand you. So you need to be aware and quickly let go, decondition yourself of the habits which you are making, because it's a nature of your body, of your mind, to make habits, because least possible energy is required, so that, you know, things go on autopilot mode. Yeah. Similarly, when it comes to your thought process, you will get, you know, hooked on to certain thoughts. You know, and if you observe, maybe 80–90% of the thoughts are repeat thoughts because of the nature of job, or maybe the people you surround, and you know what they expect from you. So that becomes your habit, and the habits becomes an OCD, you know, kind of an addiction, and that affects your body, mind, and your health, overall health. Similarly, when it comes to the emotions, so when you practice self-awareness of the presence, you know, process, you will get over all those things, and then, you know, you will not be slave to any of these things, and be it any age. As we age, these OCDs becomes very dreadful, and that affect your health, and we invite a lot of, you know, problems, diseases, and disorders. So if you want to be really healthy, you know, as we age, we need to get over all these OCDs, and for that, if you ask me, you know, the master key is this process, you know, the presence process, or being aware that you are aware. That's very important, because when you are no more slave, when you are awake, you are actually allowing your body and your brain to operate at their best. You know, then your intelligence, your intellect flowers to its best possible. Your body will be performing at its best possible. So बड़े ही सरल और सहज शब्दों में मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि अगर हमें मुक्ति खुद को देनी है, तो अपनी ईगोइक आइडेंटिटी को हमें जलाना होगा, और उसको प्यूरिफाई करते रहना होगा, and that the purification process is, you know, this presence process, so that you can allow the body, to allow the brain, and allow your entire being to flower into fullest, you know, potential, being compassionate towards all at all times, and being competent as and when required in any area of life, maybe personal life, relationship, professional achievements, so that, you know, you are holistically evolving. This is the great benefit of we being as this human being, you know. Yeah, so thank you very much. Bye bye.